Okay, it's another time when I would like to take this opportunity to welcome some students and even engineers and hobbyists into a very interesting program. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome some physical students into our interesting program of instrumentation and measurement, and also some non-physical students who are not physically or in contact with me. I mean that online community into this interesting program. My name is Olenjolai. It's the first time to meet me. I am a Tanzanian, and I'm very committed to make sure that I transform my own generations. So I used to teach by using our own or our Tanzanians curriculums in different institutions, colleges, and universities. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you into the module that's called Instrumentation and Measurements. And this is chapter 1, Introductions of Instrumentations and Measurements. If you just want to know me, one thing which I want to tell you that I thank God who have given me a gift of teaching, but I thank God who have given me a gift of engineer. Professionally, I'm an electronics and telecommunication engineer. So we are going to discuss about engineering. So I love so much engineering, and I believe that I'm going to add something in your mind. This course is actually dedicated for undergraduate students, ordinary diploma students, Form 6 graduate students. It's still a fundamental course. So whether you're a professional or you are not a professional, you may study it and you may enjoy it, because this is all about engineering. And actually there's nothing new, because when you talk about instrumentation and measurements, we discussed it in physics. We discussed it in chemistry. We've been measuring concentrations of a particular solution. We discussed it maybe in physical quantities, in state of matters. We discussed it in pressure. So actually, what are we going to focus in instrumentation measurement in aspect of engineering? We are going to teach our students how to apply the knowledge you have been acquiring in mathematics and in science. So that's what we are going to do. So we are going to introduce you about what the instrumentation measurement. Some of the students who are taking this course, I know that they have fundamental concepts of instrumentation and measurements, but maybe they lack on the part of electronics, because we are going to focus on electrical engineering or electronics. And this course is dedicated for any electronics engineer, any telecommunication engineer, any electrical engineer, any biomedical equipment engineer, any mechanical engineer. And actually, I think that one of the group of the students who are not interested in this course, or we are not focusing on them, is just the civil engineers. But mechanical engineers, lab scientists, or applied science, this course is very important. I have some physical students in one of the institutions that got called the DIT, who are pursuing bachelor degree in electronics, in electrical engineering, excuse me, in electrical engineering. And they told me that they have a great vision. So we'll see that real, if they apply, what am I going to teach them, or they just apply to pass the exam. So let me appreciate their presence, and then we are going to start our lecture 1. How are you, students? Well, so you heard that they are fine. Are you ready for lecture 1 of instrumentation and measurement? Yes. Well, So this is chapter 1. We are going to have a number of chapters, more than 4 chapters that we are going to learn in this module. And this is lecture 1 that's called Terminologies of Instrumentation and Measurement. Class A, Terminologies of Instrumentation and Measurements. Okay, so when we discuss about terminologies, whenever you want to understand a particular knowledge, it's actual advised to start from the fundamental skills. For instance, if you want to know about high electrical power system, I think that, or we believe that in that knowledge, you should know the definitions of the term or common terminologies. Similarly, in instrumentation measurement, before we discuss about the instrumentation measurements in electronics engineering and electrical engineering, it's better to discuss about terminologies that will hear them often. So I have a list of terminologies, almost 7 terminologies that we are going to discuss, and then we are going to use them effectively in the next lectures. Okay, students? Okay? So the first terminology is from the module itself. It's called the instrumentation. Class A, instrumentation. Say instrumentation. Well, so the fundamental question is, what is instrumentation? What is instrumentation? You can pause yourself or you can ask yourself this question, which is very important. So instrumentation, I'm coming. So what is instrumentation? And actual that we may define instrumentation in engineering, and we have also instrumentation in science, in some other applied field. So we say that instrumentation is the collective. This is the collective term for measuring instruments. Use the for indicating, measuring, and recording physical quantities. This is the one of the definition, quantities. Quantities. Yes, quantities. This is one of the definition, and these are the keywords. Recording, indicating, measuring. Recording, indicating, measuring. That's the simple definition of measurement. Good morning, Rab. How are you?
Fine.
Uh-huh. Yes, it's not now. No. It doesn't mean that you should use this definition, you may use some others. So what is instrumentation? Is a collective. Say collective term. For what? For measuring instruments, used for indicating physical quantities, measuring physical quantities, and recording what? Yeah, so we say that this is the collective term. So when we talk about instrumentation, it's a broad field. Whether in engineering, whether in science, whether in music. So instrumentation is actually a broad field. That's why we use the word collective term for measuring instrument. But instrumentation is focused on measuring instruments. Say measuring instruments. Measuring instrument used for what? So this measuring instrument, this is actually, so it's a process of using measuring instrument to indicate the physical quantity, to measure the physical quantity, and record the physical what? Are we together? Yeah. Then, or in other words, in engineering, because we are engineers. In engineering aspect, we say that instrumentation okay, instrumentation is a science. This is the science, and you learn science from standard 3, science and technology. Of what? This is the science of measuring. This is the science of measuring, and this is the science of measuring and controlling. Controlling what? Controlling physical quantities. Physical quantities. Physical quantities. Physical quantities, and the field of study, and also instrumentation is a field, and is a field of study. This is the field of study that involves making those instruments. Making those instruments. So this is the second definition of instrumentation according to the different sources or different reference books of instrumentation. So the first definition is actually give you a definition of instrumentation generally, right? And the second one, this is focusing on the field that we are learning, which is engineering. So in engineering, again, class A, instrumentation. Yes, you have to make sure that the whole day today you are thinking about instrumentation. Tell your neighbor, make sure that the whole day today you are thinking about instrumentation. Tell your neighbor, please. Okay, others they say we have a battle against my left hand side and right hand side battle, our neighbor. So this is the science. It's a science of 40. Science of 40. Stop writing, listen and watch. Now I'm explaining. Remember that when we ask you some questions to test about your understanding, we don't expect you to copy and paste. So you have to listen what we are discussing. That's why you have to write, you have to listen, you have to watch, you have to ask a question. So you say in engineering, instrumentation is a science of measuring. Measuring what? Physical quantities. Say physical quantities. Class A, physical quantities. Physical quantities. Yeah, it should be powerful. Physical what? So this is the science of measuring physical quantities, and also it's the science of measuring or controlling physical what? Quantities. Okay? Okay, class? So it's the science of what? Measuring what? Physical quantities. But also it's what? It's the science of what? Controlling physical quantities. So in aspect of engineering, when it's come for the case of instrumentation measurement, we are teaching you how to measure physical quantities or engineering physical quantities, and how to control those engineering physical quantities. Are we together? Are we together? But also in addition, in this definition, we say that also instrumentation is a field of study. This is the field of what? Of study. Say field of study. That involves what? Making those what? Instruments. So instrumentation is dealing with what? Measurement of the physical quantity, controlling physical quantity, indicating physical quantity, then what? We say recording physical quantities, and making those instruments. Class, are we together? When now you extracted the knowledge from these two definitions, you get a lot of information. Listen. So instrumentation, we can say that this is the set of measuring instrument, right? Or you can call it the science of measuring physical quantities, science of indicating physical quantities, science of recording physical quantities, and science of controlling physical quantities. And also it's a study that make those instruments that we are using to measure physical quantities. And we introduced you this concept since primary education. But maybe because you have done a primary education so many years, we introduced you this concept in physics form 1. It's the third topic that called the measurements. When you taught you about the fundamental physical quantities and the derived physical. But also we introduced you this concept in the first topic of mechanics that's called the dimension and the errors. And you have been expert on solving problems. So ask your neighbor, how can you apply that knowledge to solve real life problem? Okay, so when we talk, now listen. So it means that examples, in this definition we have something which is very important, which is called the physical quantity. So example of electrical physical quantities that we need to measure by using, or we have to measure, we have to control, we have to indicate physical quantities. So can you mention one example for electrical physical quantity? Yes, simple. The first example, it's what? Voltage. Say voltage. So it means that when we talk about electrical instrumentation, we are teaching you how to measure, how to control, how to indicate, and how to control voltage. Are we together? The second example, these are the simplest examples. The second example is called what? Second example for electrical physical what? Quantity. It's called what? What the formula of current in terms of quantity of charge? dq dt. So what the means of dq? Change of what? Quantity of charge. To the change of what? Time. I have mentioned the third example for electrical physical quantity. There are so many. Power is another electrical quantity. Another example of electrical physical quantity. So you are learning about how to measure, how to make instruments that measure power. When you talk about electricity, maybe we talk about generations of electric power. Whether hydroelectric power or solar electric power, then you have to talk about power. Right? For instance, what the amounts of electrical power produced by Mtera Dam? Do you know Mtera Dam? Do you know? Have you ever gone there? How many megawatts? You hear that those technologies, they have been mentioned megawatts, in terms of 40 megawatts. Let me ask you the amounts of power produced by Mwalimu Nyerere Dam. Because I think that's the one that has been discussed by different radio or multimedia stations. What amounts of power produced per day? You don't know. How many megawatts? Or it's gigawatt? How megawatts? How many megawatts? 1,000? 2,000 megawatts. Are you aware with that? No. Okay, another electric physical example of electric physical quantity. It's what? Frequency. Say frequency. Say frequency. Say frequency. Another important electric quantity is sensitivity. Sensitivity. Say sensitivity. Say sensitivity. Another example of electric power, electric physical quantity, it's resistance. Say resistance. Another example of electric physical quantity, hey, you electric engineers, capacitance. What the formula of capacitance? Of the capacitor? You forgot, yeah? But you have been expert on solving Mugote's questions, isn't it? Yeah. Capacitance. Another example of physical quantity is what? Inductance. Say inductance. Say inductance. Say inductance. Again, say inductance. Another example of the physical quantity, of electrical physical quantity. A gain. Say gain. When you talk about gain, example of gain, we have current gain. If you do remember, we had voltage gain. Voltage gain. So gain is the very important electric parameter. Hello, madam, how are you? What's your name? Okay, then another example of electric physical quantity. Tell us. Inductance. Reactance. Another important electric property. It's called what? Reactance. Say reactance. Say reactance. You know reactance? What's the formula of reactance? Hello? Formula of reactance. Okay, write for your neighbor the formula of reactance. How can you compute reactance in electrical engineering? Etc., etc. So, you may notice that we have so many electrical physical quantities. In such a way that because you have so many electrical physical quantities, also you have so many electrical measuring instruments. That's why you say this is the field of what? Of study. Because for instance, in magnetism, hey, keep quiet. For instance, if you keep focused in magnetism, there are so many electrical properties. There are so many electrical physical quantities. Right? One example, magnetic flux. Another example, magnetic flux density. Another example, magnetic susceptibility. Another example, it's magnetism. Electric engineering is all about magnetism and electricity. You don't remember? You remember. I mentioned some other examples. Next time, okay, you will check me inbox. So you may add so many examples of the physical quantity. So this is the, listen, in this world or in the field of engineering, listen. Hello, madam, how are you? What's your name? Are you sure that you are in this class? I'm talking to you. Yes. What's your name? Rebecca. She said that Rebecca. Well, listen. You can summarize the field of engineering that in this way, in just the two terminologies. There is demand and the supply. So demand, it means requirement. And supply, it means the solution. Or demand, it means the problem. And supply, it means the solution. Are we together? So these are the physical quantities that scientists and engineers have been discovering year after year. So once this has been discovered, then comes another problem. How can we measure them? How can we control them? How can we regulate them? How can we record them? How can we manage them? How can we rectify them? Are we together? Are we together? Yeah. So then the second terminology is called the instruments, because we found in the first definition we had the word instruments, and also in the second definition, did you hear instruments? Yes, instrument is here. So this is another vocabulary. So the second terminology is called the instruments. First of all, before we discuss about instrument, let me know, did you understand the definition of or the meaning of instrumentation? Class, did you understand? Yes. Are you going to claim it? Madam. Okay, so there's no need for you to claim. You just need to understand and then enjoy what you have understood. Say instruments. Again. Again. Check your neighbor if he or she is pronouncing. Can you tell us the face of your neighbor? The physical appearance of your neighbor? Can you describe in one sentence? Okay, what is instrument? So So ask your neighbor, what is instrument? So you can define the word or terminology instruments by using different definition or in different style, but you have to understand when we can define the word instrument generally, because the word instruments is not only regarded with engineering. We have instruments in engineering, we have instruments in science, we have instruments in music, right? We have musical instruments that we've been learning in wave. If you do remember that in wave, we've been learning about strings, right? That we call it wave 1. Okay, what were we calculating? Frequency. And we've been dealing about overtone. You have been expert in that, isn't it? But now you are a retired scientist. Well, so instrument, you may define the word instrument as instrument is a device. Instrument is a device that measures monitors or controls physical quantities. Physical quantities such as temperature, such as resistance, etc., etc., because I have mentioned examples of physical quantities, and especially for electrical engineering. So that's the first definition of the word instrument. Class A again, instrument. Ask your neighbor, are you an instrument? Are you a human being instrumenty, or who are you, by the way? What does it mean? When you ask your neighbor that are you an instrument, it means that are you a solution of particular problem? That's the meaning. Ask your neighbor, are you a solution of particular electrical engineering problem? Talk to your neighbor. So instrument is a device. Okay, let me write the second definition. In engineering, the term instrument, then I'll explain both of them. The term instrument refers to a device, can refer to a device or tool used to measure or used to control or used to monitor various physical properties or various physical processes. Or system. So this is the way that we can define the word instrument. You can call the instrument as a single instrument or instruments as a set of 40 of the instrument. So stop writing, listen and watch. Remind your neighbor to stop writing. Okay, so instrument, this is the device that measures, say measures. or monitors. Say monitors. Or control. What is? Physical quantities. Physical quantities. So this is the device. So device is another vocabulary, which we'll discuss it in a few minutes, just in a while. But we say that this is the device. So what is instrument? Subwriting. What is instrument? Instrument is a device that measures what is physical quantity, that monitors what is, hello, it's time to watch and listen, monitors physical quantity or controls physical quantities such as what is temperature, resistance, inductance, current gain, voltage gain, reactance, sensitivity, current, voltage, power, frequency, magnetic flux density, susceptibility or magnetic susceptibility, electric field intensity, electric flux, etc., etc. In other words, we say that in engineering, the term instrument, say instrument, refer to what? A device or what? A tool. Use it to do what? To measure. To measure what? Various physical what? Various physical what? Quantities. Use it to control various physical what? Or various physical what? Processes. Or various what? Systems. Are we together? Various physical properties, various processes, various systems. Are we together? Yes. Are we together? Yes. Are we together? Yes. So an instrument is simply what? A device or a tool. But what if I ask you a question? Define electrical instrument. How are you going to define it? That question will test your understanding. Why? Because when I ask you to define electric instrument, it is specific. Because you have electric instrument, we have mechanical instrument, we have electronics instrument, we have telecommunication instrument, we have biomedical instrument. So this is general. So when I ask you about electric instrument, you have to think a little bit. You have to do some changes in that definition, which will test your understanding. Are we together? Are we together? Yes. Can you grasp it? Or it's a challenge? When I ask you define, okay, define electrical instrument to your neighbor. Define electrical instrument to your neighbor. Tell your neighbor what is electrical instrument. I asked you to define electrical instrument and mention examples for your neighbor. Already. How many definitions did I give you? 2. So you have to give your neighbor at least 2 definitions. Why did you give him or her 1? Another question comes in the mind of the serious electrical engineering students or electronics engineering student or telecommunication engineering students. What the importance? Why do we need measure? Why do we need the instruments? Well, there are so many reasons, or there are so many importances of instrument. But I think that I've mentioned 3 importances of this instrument. Separating, listen and watch. Why do we need this instrument? This instrument are essential for gathering data. Say gathering data. Say gathering data. In basic mathematics, we taught you one topic that called statistic and probability. In statistics and probability, we have been giving you actually the table of results, or a particular table that shows 2 or 3 parameters, right? Which you call them population. We ask you to draw maybe the histogram, the pie chart, to calculate the mean, to calculate. Do you remember them? You have been expert in that, yeah? Well, so in engineering, we need instruments to gather data. When you talk that now we are ready to implement or to turn on the electric power from Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere Dam, right, to be transmitted to maybe to the Tanzania Central electrical power station that is at Ubungo, or in TANESCO at Ubungo. When we say that now we are going to turn on, it means that we have used a set of instruments to gather some data. Right? Right? We use this instrument in engineering to ensure accuracy. I think that your neighbor who sat on your left-hand side and right-hand side would like you to hear that everything you talk, it's accurate. We as a human being, we like accurate information. Is this it? So even in engineering, we have to ensure accuracy. So we have to use these instruments to ensure accuracy. When you say that Mwalimu Nyerere provides 2,000 megawatts, then we want to see the accuracy whenever we measure the amounts of power from there. Right? But this instrument in engineering help us to maintain system performance. Say system performance. Your body is full with different biological systems. There is the digestive system, there is the breathing system, there is the transportation system, there is the coordination system. So our human body is actual collections of 40 systems. So if you are not sick, it means every system is working perfectly. Right? So who is managing, who is maintaining your biological system performance? It's God who have created you. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? So this is the homework. Mention 10 examples of electric and electronics instrument. If you've understood, then just check your understanding by mentioning 10 examples. Because for this case, in instrumentation, I mentioned the 10 examples of the electrophysical quantity. Class, are we together? Yes. No. Are we together? Yes. Class, let me know. Did you understand? Yes. Did you understand? Yes. Ask your neighbor, do you enjoy instrumentation and measurement? The third important terminology in instrumentation and measurement is called the equipment. Equipment. Say equipment. Say equipment. Before you define equipment, ask your neighbor, would you like me to call you today your nickname as an equipment, electric equipment? Ask your neighbor, would you like me to call you today a nickname? It's a nickname, electric equipment. Engineers, listen. You know that when you talk about electric engineering, it's all about everything. For instance, your body is full with electric signals. Okay. And I want to tell you that electric engineering, it's the mother of electronics engineering. So we who are electronics engineers, we are your children. You are our mother. So when you hear about mother and father, you define them in terms of gender. No, I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about the age. Okay, so what is equipment? Okay, ask your neighbor, what is equipment? Huh? I believe your neighbor will tell you equipment is an instrument. No, that's not true. So you are checking your previous response, eh? Aha. So because I gave you in lecture 00, I gave you just a homework to go and find. So you can mark what you have found. You can mark your solution yourself, right? This is good. That's the goodness of a higher learning institution. You do the assignment and you remark yourself. Do you know that always you put a score for 100%? Even if you have scored 0%. Okay. So equipment, let us define equipment specifically in engineering. Let us narrow down. In engineering, when you say engineering, it's general, not in electrical engineering, in engineering. In engineering, the term equipment refer to the set or collection of tools. Is a set of tools or collections of tools or machines. This is wonderful. And I know that in this semester, in semester 1 at DIT, you are learning a very interesting model that's called electric machine. Say again, electric machine. So you are learning about machines, you are learning about equipment, you are learning about instruments. I hope that at the end of this semester you'll be competent enough. Ask your neighbor, are you going to be competent or are you going to get prepared for exams? System used to perform specific tasks or functions within a particular engineering discipline. Okay. So this is one of the definitions of an equipment. For those who come from English medium, madam, listen. For those who come from English medium, is it correct if we call it an equipment or it's the equipment? Which article should we use? An or the? Why it's not an? Why we have a vowel? You forgot English language, yeah? Some of you have scored A in English language. Which article should we use here? An, because you have 3 articles in English. An, a, the. In French, we have more than 3 articles in French language. Those are the human language you have to be familiar with. So which correct article should you use? An equipment or a equipment or the equipment? An equipment. Are you sure? Why? Because of the vowel, Remember the fundamental of English that we have taught you. Okay, so stop writing. Tell your neighbor, stop writing. So let us read together. What is equipment? 1, 2, 3, let us go. Hey, 1, 2, 3. Let us read together to reinforce understanding. What is an equipment or what is equipment? Again, read it so that you can dream it tonight. What is equipment? the meaning. So it's a set of tools or machines or devices or system. But this set of tools or machines or devices or system are used to perform specific tasks. Say specific task. Ask your neighbor, in this world, are you specific or are you general? Yes. Ask your neighbor again, left hand side and right hand side. In this world, are you specific or are you general? In other words, are you unique or are you general? So now I think that you have understood. When we talk about specific, you didn't understand. And everybody in this class wishes to be unique. But you are not ready to pay the cost of being unique. Because there is a cost to pay to be unique. Right? But it's simple to be general. Human being. Simple. You are just born, you just live, you are waiting to die, then it's done. Everything you do is for the life. And everything you do is for your own benefit and your family. That's all. Is it clear? So can you notice the difference? What is the difference between equipment and the instrument? That one question. Another question that you have to ask your neighbor. Ask your neighbor, define electric equipment. Because this is general definitions of equipment in engineering. So you have to be specific. Ask your neighbor, define electric equipment. Ask your neighbor, this is the active class. Tell your neighbor, you came to the active class. So, I believe that if you've understood, if we ask you to define electric equipment, something has to change. The style might be the same, but something has to. That's your assignment, that's your homework. What should change there? And it will test your what? Understanding. Because you are in higher institution. We are not testing you memorization. We have to test you little memorization and a lot of what? Comprehension. Are we together? Class, are we together? Yes. Okay, good. So here we have again another homework. Mention examples of electric equipment. Electric utility. Mention 10 examples of electric utility. And then this is question 1 in this homework. Question 2. What is the difference? What is the difference between electric instrument and the electric equipment? Can you differentiate them? Class, are we together? Is it clear? Is it clear? Class, is it clear or it's not clear? There's another question, which is question 0. Define electric equipment. That is question 0. And I don't write it. Just write in your mind. What another terminology that I gave you in lecture 00? Device, right? Device. So we have electric equipment, we have electronics equipment, we have biomedical equipment. For instance, the course in your departments of electrical engineering is called the biomedical equipment engineering. Say biomedical equipment engineering. Why is it called the biomedical equipment engineering while your course is called the electrical engineering? Why your course is not called the electrical equipment engineering? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help about these two questions. You know the responses, but the issue is to differentiate and to understand. Are we together? Just to go to the prospectus. It's called the Biomedical Equipment Engineering. We have NTA level 4, level 5, level 6, and NTA level 7. While your course is called Electrical Engineering. Why it's not called Electrical Equipment Engineering? Why? Ask your neighbor. Ask your neighbor. Think. So we have device. Class, say device. Say device. So I guess you have, so a device, we have electrical devices, we have scientific devices, we have engineering devices. So let us narrow. In engineering, a device is typically defined as a mechanical. Mechanical, it's a mother of engineering. A mechanical. So electric engineering, it's a child of mechanical engineering. It's a mechanical. So it's a mechanical or electrical. So device is a mechanical, electrical, or electronics tool or equipment. Tool or equipment. No, instrument, sorry. Tool, electronic, mechanical tool or mechanical instrument. Mechanical instrument designed to perform a specific function. A specific function. A specific function or a set of engineering functions. This is the simple definition of the word device. Class, say again device. A device, simply we say that, is a typically defined as is a mechanical. Stop writing. Welcome. Is a mechanical. Say mechanical. How are you? Yes.
Tulikuwa tunatafuta mbele na kipindi. Tukienda hiyo mbele wanafunzi wakasema wanakusubiri wewe.
Hao watoke alafu wataingia huko. Ingieni. Ingieni kwanza msubirieni mwalimu, sawa? Okay, well, so he said that this is a mechanical or electrical or electronic tool or mechanical instrument or electrical instrument or electronic instrument designed to perform a specific function or a set of engineering function. A set of engineering. Stop writing. So a device in engineering, specifically in case of our case, we have electrical devices, we have electronics devices. What is it? Simply, it's a tool designed to perform a specific function or a set of engineering what? A set of engineering what? When you say set, it means collection. Right? Do you remember the topic of set in basic mathematics? Form 2? Do you remember Venn diagram? Do you remember? Ask your neighbor, where do you apply Venn diagram in real life? Now let us just go specifically. In electronics, I'm about to finish this session. In electronics engineering, a device is the piece of hardware. A device, the piece of hardware that controls the flow of electric energy to process information, to control or process information, to control a system, to control electronic system, or to process information. That's the second way of defining the word device. Just have the last terminology, important terminology, then we end our lecture 1 of instrumentation and measurement. So separating, let us discuss the second definition of device. These are kind of contradicting words, right? Instrument, equipment, device. I think that since you made them, you have never been able to distinguish. Isn't it? You may mention, it means you may replace instrument with device, or device with equipment. And you don't care. You know, sometimes that in just in science, or maybe in fundamental skills or fundamental, you don't care whether that you use them interchangeably or you don't use them interchangeably. So in electronics, we may define a device as is a piece of hardware. Say piece of hardware. Do you know the difference between hardware and software? Hardware, you can touch it, isn't it? Software, so a device, can you touch a device? Yes, that's why we say that is a piece of what? It's a piece. It's not the hardware, it's a piece. You know meaning of piece? It's a piece of hardware that controls the flow of electric energy. When you talk electric energy, we have all of the physical quantities about electric energy. The flow of electric energy to control electronic system or to process what? Information. Are we together? Are we together? And then we have interesting homework there. Just one question. Mention 10 examples of electric, because it can be electric, it can be mechanical, electric and the electronics devices. I believe if you do this homework, you will understand the difference between device and equipment, device and the instrument, instrument and equipment. Right? Is it clear? Question? No. Number 5 and the last terminology. It's called the measurement. Oh, I still have number 6. Oh. Measurement. Say measurement. Say measurement. Ask your neighbor, what the name of this module? The name of this module is what? Instrumentation, eh? And what? So, did you discuss about instrumentation? Ask your neighbor, did you discuss about instrumentation? Did you understand it? So now we are talking about measurement. Okay? That's the means of introduction. Whenever you want to learn anything, start with fundamental. That's the phrase, or it's a quote from Michael Jordan. Whenever you want to learn something or any knowledge, whether it's complex or it's simple, start with what? Fundamentals. Right? Don't say that I am engineer, so I need advanced stuff. Okay, fine. You may hear them and you may leave them. Question 5. Ask your neighbor, what is measurement? What is measurement? What is measurement? Ask your neighbor, what is measurement? So I know now your neighbor does not trust you anymore about his or her previous solution. So simply, we say that in engineering, so let us be specific. Measurement in electronics engineering, or let's say that in electronics engineering. In electronics engineering. Yuma.
Mungu ibariki Tanzania, dumisha uhuru na umoja wake kwa waume na watoto. Mungu ibariki Tanzania.